Don't give up, you gon' be on. Don't give up, don't give up, give up. Don't give up, you gon' be on. Don't give up, don't give up.
Greetings, Redheads. Thank you for joining me in another episode of your favorite show, Layzie. Now, before we begin, make sure you subscribe to youtube.com/WeAuthenticNetwork. All right. I'm your gracious host, J Red, and I'm going to do this by myself because I had to bring this back. Now, we got a lot of Bone Thugs and Harmony fans out there who happen to watch Layzie. They are our subscribers, and I promise y'all that not only was I going to rank the albums from highest to lowest and give reviews about the old albums from Bone Thugs and Harmony group albums, but I also told you that I was going to go through each member, and whoever has solo albums, we're going to do the same thing. So last time I did Busy Bone, before that I did Crazy, and now we have to go to the next popular Bone Thugs and Harmony member, Layzie Bone. For those who don't know, I am a hip-hop artist, and I have a song with Layzie Bone that's available right now. You should see the cover. Sean's putting it up right now. Now, this song came out back in 2013 with me and my group Authentic, but I wanted to revamp it, put it back on streaming platforms for all the fans out there. So make sure that you get it now, streaming everywhere. All right. Now, Layzie Bone didn't put out a solo album until the year 2001. Before that, you had the Flesh and Bone album, you had the Busy Bone album, you had the Crazy Bone album, and Layzie just wanted to get in where he fit in at that point. You know, I feel like all eyes were on him at the time to see what he was coming with, and they were also looking to see what Wishbone was going to do. Now, Wish didn't put out any solo material ever, which I really, really wish he had, but Layzie was next up to the plate after the year after Resurrection came out. And the year also that Crazy Bone put out his Thug on the Line, and Busy Bone put out his The Gift album. So in March of 2001, Layzie Bone presents to you, boom, Thug by Nature, Thug by Nature. And I also have the vinyl. See that? Boom. Got this collector's item at this vinyl shop. But Thug by Nature came out, like I said, in March 2001, his debut solo album. It was on Ruthless Records, and man, it was a nice effort. This was raw, uncut Layzie. You know, Layzie was on his A game, just coming off of Resurrection, and it came with 19 songs. And he had some of the producers that actually appeared on Resurrection, like L.T. Hutton, you know, and different producers of that nature. That Darren Vegas, he's also, I think he did a song on Resurrection, if I'm not mistaken. Boneheads get me. But he had 19 songs. Some of them were skits, but the first song on there is actually a song that Bone actually comes out to, and it's called Carol of the Bones. You can also hear that on the Greatest Hits album that Bone Thugs and Harmony has. But it's Bone of the Bone, Bone of the Bone, Bone of the Bone. Like, it's real, real dope. So I thought that was very unique and creative. And then the next song after that is Battlefield. Now, Battlefield, for those who don't know, Bone Thugs and Harmony had beef with Do or Die, and Crucial Conflict, and Twista, and all of them. So I think by this time, in the year 2000, I know Twista and Layzie did a song called Midwest Invasion, but I think that they kind of, made up over it and ended the beef. But I think around this time, the Do or Die beef was still going on. So in this song, he addresses Do or Die, and I'm gonna quote it. I'm paraphrasing. I hadn't heard in a while, but I think he said, "Fuck y'all do or die niggas. Y'all bitch ass niggas can't do shit to me. Throw your fist up in the source, but you niggas ain't had no victory." What he was talking about is Do or Die put out an album called Victory, and they were looking like they was on their Black Power stuff, like Black Panther stuff. They had that material on, the leather jackets and stuff, but on the cover they're holding up their fists, and that's why Layzie said, "Throw your fist up in the source, but you niggas ain't had no victory." But I thought that was a real, real dope beat. Also, like. The drums and the production on there really gets you amped up for the album. It goes into connecting the plots with Dub C of West Side Connection. Man, and then the other features they had on there was Aaron Hall from the legendary group Guy. Y'all need to check out Aaron Hall. I mean, why not? But Aaron Hall was on There They Go. Flesh and Bone and Big Chan. Now, Flesh and Bone, of course, is his brother and also a Bone Thugs and Harmony member. And Big Chan also was a part of the Doggy's Angels, Snoop Dogg's girl clique. He had a girl group that put some stuff out back during that time. And other than that, those were the only features. A guy named Decompose, I don't know if he was on Mo Thug Records or anything like that. But overall, it was a dope first offering, I could say. Baby S, he was also featured on there. He was featured on the single "Make My Day." Baby S was a part of Ruthless Records at the time, but the singles that Layzie put out, none of them were hits, but he had some bangers. "Make My Day" featuring Baby S was the first single that they put out, and "Listen" is the second single. I want to say I forgot which one came out first, but "Listen" was like, it gives you kind of that Crossroads feel a tad bit. Bone always has, you know, when they do songs like that, the label always pushes them to push that single out there and stuff. But my personal favorite track on this album is the title track, "Thug by Nature." There's the beat is so dope. I forgot who produced it right now. I can't think about it. But it's gonna kill me if I don't remember. BB and Red Spider. Red Spider back then, he did some production with 50 Cent. I want to say maybe 50 Cent or Lil Flip. I know he did some stuff on Lil Flip's album and stuff like that. But that's probably my favorite one. Layzie also even remixed the Tony song, "Lay Your Head on My Pillow." He had it called "Smoke On." And also, the last track that he had on here was "As the Rain." And from my understanding, Layzie really wanted to put that out as the first single. But Ruthless wanted to go with in another direction. This was executive produced by Layzie and Tamika Wright, which is Eazy-E's widow. And like I said, dope first offering from Layzie. You get Layzie at his rawest form nonetheless, all right? So after that, we didn't get a Layzie album for a couple of years. The next time Bone Thugs and Harmony came out with an album was 2002's Thug World Order. And Bone wanted to get the group thing back going and stuff like that. And then Bone went on hiatus for a little bit after that. And Layzie, in between that time, wanted to put out some solo material. So in 2005, we got "It's Not a Game." Now, I'm not sure where exactly my physical copy is of that. Sean has the album cover on the screen right there. But "It's Not a Game" came out at the time when Bone was doing that hiatus. And that was like a couple of years before "Strength and Loyalty" came out. And a couple of them were just putting stuff out at that time. I think Crazy may have put something out during that time as well. Yeah, he did. He put out Gemini Good versus Evil. But "It's Not a Game" was on Cleopatra Records. That was an indie label. And man, as far as "It's Not a Game," that's when he linked up with Thin C. Thin C started on Thug by Nature, but he really heavily produced this album that came out. And the thing with this album is really, it's not a album. To me, it's more like a compilation album of Thug. So some of the stuff from Thug by Nature appeared on here, and the standout tracks, the most standout track on here was "Midwest Invasion" featuring Twisted. Now that was a mixtape track, but somehow I guess Layzie was just like, you know what, I'm gonna put this on the album for the masses that haven't heard it yet. This was the album that had its first official release with that song on there. And what's weird is the Aaron Hall song, that's from Thug by Nature, that appears on here. Connecting the Plots with Dub C, that appears on here. And also Smoking on Information, which features Snoop Dogg, that was on a Mo Thugs project, Mo Thugs 4, The Movement. That appeared on here as well. And the other songs that he has on here are new, or newer at the time, with Thin C, even Crazy. Probably the best track on here is Thug Nation with Crazy Bone. But other than that, like I said, it was like I think Layzie was even promoting it as a mixtape. I guess he was trying to put his greatest, what he felt like his greatest hits were at the time all together, and then put out "It's Not a Game." So I don't really know what to really think of this album. I mean, it charted, you know, but to me, it wasn't really a complete album. It was pretty much just what he's done before and just putting it all together. So "It's Not a Game" was cool for what it was. So after "It's Not a Game," Layzie put out on Sickness.net, he put out this album, and it's called Cleveland. This was just another indie project that he put out, and this was real dope. He had a lot of bangers on here, I could say that. I think he was promoting it as a mixtape, but Sickness.net had also put out Bone Brothers 3, and they put out like a DMX album and all that other stuff. But it was just an indie album to get some music out there. Now, the standout track that was on here, they call it "Rain," but he had named it "Lockdown Love." It was a dedication track to Flesh and Bone. Real Niggas, that was a real dope song. The beat, whoever did this production on here, I'm not really sure because they don't really have it in the credits at all on this album. But this was a solid mixtape. I can say that. Armed and Dangerous, that was a dope track that stood out. So if you never got a chance to hear Cleveland, I believe it's on streaming platforms. If it's not on iTunes or Apple Music, make sure that you go to Tidal. It may be on there. But it's a solid body of work. Next, the year 2006 comes up, and by that time, Bone was doing their preparation for their next album. That year, they also put out Thug Stories in 2006, and Busy Bone put out the High Power album. That was Thug's Revenge. And he wasn't the only one. Layzie wanted to get his independent money in there too. Y'all should know how I feel about the High Power records. That's the reason I don't have this album, which is The New Revolution. I didn't purchase it. I never purchased it, but I heard some songs off of there. But I was never a big fan of Bone doing the High Power records because it had that old school West Coast feel, and I ain't really think that it mixed with Bone that well. However, on this particular album that came out that year, I was a fan favorite of the Vote For Me track. That was a real dope track. I think Mr. Capone or one of those Latin rappers was on there. And he had some other songs on there that was cool, but it was a high power release, pretty much. You know, what can I say? So then, after that, he put out this album, which was a collaboration album called Thug Brothers. These CDs are so dusty, y'all. I hadn't listened to them in a minute, but Thug Brothers also came out in 2006 on Real Talk Entertainment. And when this album came out, I was real happy. I was surprised because I didn't know that Layzie had something else coming out. And it was a collaboration album with Young Noble of the Outlaws. And when I tell y'all this is like a cool, laid-back, relaxed type of collaborative album, I really liked it. Stand Up brings you in. It's like a nice little intro to get you ready for the first song, which is Put Me in a Cell. And that gets you ready for the rest of the album. They got a couple of fillers on here, but honestly, I mean, I was in high school at the time. I had 12s in the back, and I was just cruising around in my 1990 Honda Accord stick shift, and I was just bumping this album, man. And this started the collaboration albums with Outlaws, because Crazy Bone also did Thug Brothers with Young Noble as well. But I'll cover these collaboration albums later. But this was a solid offering. If you don't have this, Real Talk Entertainment always puts out Bone stuff on iTunes and all the digital sites. So just make sure you go check that out. So then 2007 comes around, and Bone Thugs and Harmony put out their critically acclaimed comeback album, Strength and Loyalty. Man, I remember when that came out. It was a real dope album. But Layzie Bone also puts out another solo album. And this solo album was called How a Thug Was Born. I think it was like Started From Scratch or something like that. This album had a couple of names on it. But what can I say about this? It came out on Mo Thug Records, distributed through Selecto Hits. And Big Kaz was, I guess, like the president of Mo Thug. I don't know what that was. It's a lot of rumors that was floating around that Layzie had lost the rights to Mo Thugs and stuff like that. I don't know. But you had a couple of songs off of here. The Fly the Coop record with Big Kaz and Crazy was pretty decent. Thin C produced on here. Like I said before, he's always produced with Layzie. Some of the Mo Thug, they call them the Mo Thug Soldiers, they were on here. But my personal favorite track on here was Family. Family featured Big Kaz and Thin C. The beat is dope. The vibe is dope. The melodies are dope. And that's pretty much what you get from this album. It came with the DVD. You see the CDs missing, but I still got the DVD here. And I forgot where it's really on here. I don't think it's a music video, but they just talk about what's going on with Bone and all that other stuff. But How a Thug Was Born came out then. And he had a standout single to me also, Cruising, which featured the late great Eazy-E on the hook. He sampled Boys in the Hood and some other stuff. So yeah, I think this is on streaming platforms too. So if you do listen to this album, I suggest highly listening to Cruising and then Family. All right, so after that, matter of fact, it was Started From Scratch, How a Thug Was Born. Came out on X-Ray Records. After that, Layzie put out another solo album the following year in 2008, and it was called Thugs Nation. Now, Thugs Nation was on High Power Entertainment as well, and they had a few bangers on here. I'm sure I don't have the physical CD because I told you that I don't really collect those. the high power records like that. But Sean has it somewhere on the screen, Layzie throwing up the fist again. But I think that this was material that they already recorded back in like '06, I believe, and they just put a combination of that plus some Bone records that didn't make the Strength and Loyalty album. I'm not sure how that happened because they got a Timbaland produced song on here called "You Don't Want It with the Bone Thug Boys." That I think Toast to that with Swizz Beatz was on there. For those who didn't know, Strength and Loyalty that came out in 2007 was on Swizz Beatz record label. So there are a couple of songs that didn't make the cut for Strength and Loyalty that appeared on the Thugs Nation album, and that was the only reason I was gonna go get it. But other than that, it's just Layzie and High Power Records, whatever. So, but yeah, I don't know if that's on streaming platforms, but if you want to hear some material that didn't make the Strength and Loyalty album, go check that out. Okay, so after 2008, it was some years, a couple of years later, 2011 comes around, and that's when I graduated from Jackson State University. And I remember that February, Layzie was putting out 2 albums on the same day. He tried to pull a Nelly, all right? And I have those albums. And they were called, which is redundant, The Definition and The Meaning. See that? Definition and Meaning. And you see the yellow tag, I still got the Best Buy sticker on there. But I was so excited because that's when social media was popping and it was hot, like Twitter in particular. And these 2 albums were pretty dope, man. He was working with some artists that you don't really see Bone doing a whole bunch of collaborations, but Layzie was doing collaborations with well-known artists that were on here. And I remember he was heavily promoting it on Twitter, and he was doing it himself. He wasn't on a major label, but it's like he single-handedly put these albums out himself. Now, one of the standout tracks that came out was The Game Ain't Ready with the whole Bone Camp. Layzie, Crazy Wish, Flesh, Busy, all of them appear on there. But that was a cut that didn't make The World's Enemy that came out in 2010. So you had that song, and I'm talking about The Meaning. The Meaning had that song. It also featured Flesh and Bone. It had Thin C on there. Thin C did a whole lot of production on here. One song that really stood out to me on this album was Better Days with Crazy Bone and Felicia from Mo Thugs, and also Flesh and Bone. It gives you the kind of that Crossroads vibe a little bit. Everybody with Your Boy, he was from the West Coast. That was pretty dope. Magazine, the way that I forgot how it goes. Have you ever seen the cover of a magazine? I ain't talking about Jet or Ebony. I'm gonna make it go bang bang. So y'all know magazine clips. I thought that was very clever. They had Jay Rush, which is Life Jennings' brother, I want to say. If it ain't Life Jennings, it's somebody's brother. I can't remember who it was. But I think that's who it was. I don't know. But Jay Rush was on here, and Big Sloan, shout out to Big Sloan. But yeah, my favorite couple of tracks from this album definitely was the Real As It Gets with Flesh and Bone. Bow Wow. Shout out to Bow Wow. Bow Wow appeared on here as well. They had a video out called Every Night. That was on 106 Park and stuff like that. I think that was dope. But Difficult Question, of course, the one with Bow Wow, and Better Days was real dope. That was on The Meaning. And if we go to the definition was more so like the street type. Both of them had street vibes, but I feel like The Meaning had more like it was a little softer, more melody songs. This one had more like hardcore songs, like that thug shit. Chameleonaire appears on here on the track My Hood. Baby Bash is on here with the track called Spend the Night. Flesh and Crazy are on here. They had a video to that one called Here I'm Knocking. Paul Wall, shout out to Houston, Texas. Paul Wall appeared on here as well. Snow the Product, before she got big, she appeared on here. Maybach Dice. And those are all the big name people besides the Bone Camp that was on here. But yeah, the definition was, it was solid. If I had to pick from the definition of The Meaning, I'd definitely pick The Meaning. But, for what it was worth, I think it was a pretty decent project. My favorite songs off of here, probably, it has to be the Like It Used to Be with Flesh and Bone and Thin C. They talk about growing up, what they would have done, what they, can't do. They can't reverse time, they can't go back, but it's a growing up track, what I'm saying? But definitely, I really like this track. Lucky Sevens with Felicia, that was pretty cool as well. So yeah, that was 2011. Layzie put that out, and for a while he didn't put out any solo projects. Now I know I may be missing some because Layzie constantly puts out independent projects, but I'm gonna fast forward all the way to 2019. We're in 2020 now, but in 2019, if you don't know or if you don't remember, Layzie was beefing with the Migos, and when he beefed with the Migos, it helped him construct another album that came up to be called Annihilation. Now, Annihilation came out in April, I want to say, of 2019, and it was, I'm not going to say it was a beef album. Yeah, it was a beef album. He was dissing the Migos on there. It was a couple of songs, like the title track, Annihilation. He had the song Let Me Go, Migo, that appeared on there. Now, the original Let Me Go, Migo had an unfavorable beat. A lot of people didn't like the beat, which I really, really wish the official one that came out on this album was the one that came out, because the beat is dope. I listen to it in the gym like I'm beefing with the Migos, but that they appeared on there. And my favorite track that's on there is two of them. Not only is the Let Me Go Migo one, but the one with Daz Dillinger. I really like the melody, the vibe of that whole song, and they put out a video for it. And also, so it's a couple of tracks that I really, really liked on here. Doing Things with Daz Dillinger of the Dog Pound. I really, really love that song. It's good because Bone and the Dog Pound, Death Row versus Ruthless back then, you know the history with them. But they've been over that beef for over 20 years now. So I love seeing the collaborations, whether it's Corrupt and Crazy or Snoop and Layzie. Just I love those Dog Pound and Bone collaborations. Hopefully they put out the Thug Pound album and stop playing around. But that was a dope standout track. Money and Power. Now let me tell you why Money and Power is dope. They sampled It's Almost Thug from The Art of War. And dude, I need that beat. I needed that because I could have killed it. Layzie did a real good job too. But I really, really like when artists sample themselves off some stuff that came out years ago and they make it better. Man, y'all got to listen to that sample. It's a sped up kind of sample, but it still got that Art of War vibe to it. Layzie wrote it good. And Busy and Flesh appear on here. It was pretty decent. Production could have been better on some parts, but for the point that Layzie was trying to get across, that he still got it. He still, can make records and can still get at your ass if you trying to beef. It was a dope project. Next, he put out Lost and Found that came out some months later. And that project is what it was worth. It featured the late, great Johnny P. I don't have physical copies of these albums because everything is just, streaming now. My CD player in my car. I got some electric shit going on in my car to where I'm thinking like the radio is messing up stuff or whatever. But anyway, but I streamed both of those albums, but I would have to pick Annihilation over Lost and Found. Lost and Found is more so, I guess, Layzie was trying to go on like the softer side, more melodic tracks versus the street album, which is Annihilation. But yeah, so that's a wrap as far as all the Layzie projects that have came out, not including the collaboration albums. For those of you who are asking, I know that he did Bone Brothers records, just like he did Thug Brothers records. And I'm going to do an episode dedicated to all the duo albums that they put out. So let's go ahead and try to rank these from worst to best. Oh no, best to worst, I'll say. And it's hard saying worst because, I love Bone Thugs and Harmony so much. So anything they put out, I'm going to think that it's great for the most part. But my favorite Layzie Bone album, I would have to say, of course, would be Thug by Nature. Thug by Nature just was undeniable. It was his debut album, but to me, it felt like this was his only complete album for so long. Those High Power records were just mixtapes to me. And then the record he put out after this was It's Not a Game, and that was a mixtape to me. We didn't really get a solid Layzie Bone project until 2011. So I really do like this album. I feel like it's my favorite. Next, I would have to go to Cleveland. I think Cleveland was a mixtape, but the beats on here were just so dope. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he was focused, and he had a verse on there that ended up appearing. This is what Layzie had did. He used to hustle these independent companies. He used to use the same verse. Look what the wind blew in. For the Bone fans, they know what I'm talking about. Look what the wind blew in. Y'all better move because I'm finna get started. El Burner from the land of the heartless. Strapping the nine, don't make me spark it. Y'all probably done heard the news. If not, you need to check it. Both those in Harmony done broke away from Ruthless Records. When I tell y'all he used that so many times, it was funny. But yeah. So I have to go to there. After that, I would go with the definition and the meaning. Because like I said, Layzie didn't put out a lot of he put out a lot of mixtape tracks, really. I mean mixtape albums, and these are like the complete albums. And then I would say the worst one, even over the high power ones, would have to be How a Thug Was Born. Like, just the production was all everywhere. I don't even know this wasn't even really an album to me. It's just something he just put out. So yeah. That's my take on it. Like I said, those high power records, they're in between there somewhere, but I ain't really just digest those like that. And then the Annihilation and the Lost and Found records, those just came out, so it's kind of hard to put them all together. Even though I think Annihilation was dope. But that's what I feel about Layzie Bone. The cover art is appearing right here again. Make sure you go check out Authentic featuring Layzie Bone called Hustle Season. Y'all need to stream it up, purchase it. It's available everywhere. I got the first verse. Layzie has that second verse on there. And Shice D and Doja got the last verse. They collaborated together on it. And just as a Bone fan, it was a dream for me to actually do a record with Layzie. I'm never going to forget just the preparation for it. When I sent it to him, for those who listened to my album once too, I talk about it on the second track, Broken Promises. So it's still a dream. Like, you go from listening to these fellas all these years, and then you like finally get to collab with one of them. It was incredible. The feeling was incredible. Wouldn't you say, Sean?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. We still owe y'all a video for that too. But if you haven't already, also stream my album, Boom. Once too, it's available on all digital platforms. Make sure you purchase it and then stream it as well. My video On featuring Doja is also available on YouTube. Make sure that you go check that out. That's the opener, the theme song for this lovely show that we call Res View. You already know where to follow me at. I'm at JAYR3D. Also, make sure that you check out resview.com where you'll find all of the latest episodes. Man, I love y'all, man. This is J Red, and I'm signing out. Res View, baby.
Don't give up, you gon' be on. Don't give up, don't give up, give up. Don't give up, you gon' be on. Don't give up, don't give up, give up. Don't give up, you gon' be on. Don't give up, don't give up, give up. Don't give up, you gon' be on. Don't give up, give up, give up, give up. I know you got doubts, but get to the bag. Just follow the dream and stick with the plan. I know you get worried, I know you get scared.